Welcome to Sygnus Skyline, where we explore the world of alternative investments, innovation, and leadership through the perspectives of the visionaries driving transformation. In our inaugural season, The Founders Table, we sit down with the Sygnus founders Berisford Grey, Dr. Ike Johnson, and Jason Morris to uncover the stories, insights, and vision that have shaped the firm's journey over the past decade. Pull up a chair and join us at the Founders Table. Thank you for tuning in. This is our final episode of the Founders Table with the founders of Sygnus. And in our previous episodes, we learned about the origin story, the journey, a little bit about the strategy, leadership, mindset. And now we're going to delve a bit more into what to expect for the vision or the future vision of Sygnus. So as Sygnus gets ready to celebrate a major milestone of 10 years, we want to do a little bit of reflection, looking at the legacy and the vision for the future. So we're 10 years in, almost. What does that mean to each of you personally? Jason.
To be honest, when I think about 10 years, what I really focus on is a couple of things. The first one is really the investors who believed in the vision, because this vision was literally a PowerPoint, couple slides. And so those first investors who were institutional investors who believed in this idea on paper. And then obviously after that, becoming a public company with SCI first and all the thousands of shareholders, and then repeated that for the real estate fund, and then part of that also for the private equity business. So the investors who are either, mom and pop investors or institutional investors, and our last set of investors, which are development finance institutions and family offices out of the US, to actually believe that the Caribbean is actually an investable universe. That's very powerful, because nobody else had, like homegrown, done this before. So that's one. The second one is really the team Sygnus, and which, when I think about it, is over 10 years, we have had employees who left their well-paying jobs, right? And took that risk with us. I remember the first person who accepted a contract from us, he actually resigned before I knew that he was accepting the job, and effectively told his family that he was going to take a risk with the startup, and so they needed to put up enough money in case he doesn't get paid in the first 6 months. So he didn't even know if he was going to get paid or not, but he believed in the vision. So when I'm reflecting, I know we have a lot of milestones that could raise a lot of record amounts of capital and all of this, but I think that the investors who have who have partnered with us with their capital, then the employees who believe in the vision and the strategy, and thirdly, the entrepreneurs that chose Sygnus as a platform to fund them. And we have financed many acquisitions, big acquisitions. We have financed firms who needed capital to grow and expand, to take market share, to expand in other regions. We have financed a lot of real estate transactions in Jamaica. And we have also bought shares in companies, private companies, which enable those entrepreneurs to realize their dreams. So those three things, which is the investors and the partnerships with them, the employees and the belief system that they have had in us, and then the relationship with entrepreneurs and businesses to solve problems, to create jobs, is what I really reflect on most over the last 10 years. And I think that this has been an incredible and amazing journey. So that's what really strikes me.
Yeah. Okay, great. Beris.
10 years is a long time, but it actually felt like we started Sygnus yesterday mentally. And maybe the reason for that is I think I've learned at the personal level, I've learned so much over the last decade relative to my previous career. Like, it has been an amazing journey. I've learned a lot about myself, a lot about my partners, a lot about people, a lot about teams, and a lot about just society and what's important in terms of creating a legacy in terms of a business as an entrepreneur. In terms of what I think about the last 10 years, the question I keep asking myself is, in the last 10 years of Sygnus as a firm, creating an environment where capital can move frictionless throughout the region to reach the businesses, and at the same time deliver great returns for investors. That's basically the problem we're trying to solve and aspire to solve. And to achieve that goal, have we managed to, one, empower entrepreneurs to develop and grow their businesses more? Have we given entrepreneurs new opportunities? And have we also, in that process, helped people, our team members who have joined us on the journey, to also develop and learn and understand this thing called alternative investment, and have had an opportunity to build a career? And, when I think about all of that, and I'll add one more thing, and have we been great stewards of investor capital? Because at the end of the day, every pension fund or individual investor that invests with us, invest in the vision, have entrusted us to be steward of their capital.
Yeah.
And have we achieved those things? And, when I reflect on those questions, I think that I feel very proud of the last 10 years in terms of what we had put out as a vision and what we have achieved. Was the journey smooth? The answer to that is no.
Yeah.
However, did we expect the journey to be smooth? I think at the time when we start, we had no expectation around how the journey would go. We just know that we have a destination, and if we develop the right, let's say, strategic pathway and work towards that pathway, we will get there. Without fear, because I don't think we were so fearless about failure. It was really about just keep executing and pushing, and just keep in mind people. As I said before, we have a really, really talented team, people who have entrusted us to their welfare effectively. And we have great investors, pension funds, individual investors who have really stand behind Sygnus, stand behind the firm, and of course the partners, the businesses that across the Caribbean who have worked with us to allow us the opportunity to solve their problem. So I feel very proud about the first 10 years of Sygnus, and I think that we are on a very solid path in delivering on what we set out to do.
Awesome. Ike, major milestone for you.
At the 10-year mark, looking back, it almost seemed like a couple of years, to be honest. And when I started this journey, as I mentioned in the first podcast, we were really very positive and optimistic and say, yes, we can do this. And our first obstacle that we experienced was raising the initial capital for SCI. And I remember going to, I think it was a pension fund's office to do a presentation, and some guys from another brokerage firm, they did a presentation ahead of us, and when they came out, I remember one of them looked at us and said, "Oh, I hear you guys starting something, man. Well, when it no work out, at least you guys can go back and do your job." And that struck me. And when we were in the industry working under a platform, you had a lot of people who you can rely on them to. You want investment for the company there. You had a good relationship, and you thought to yourself at the time, it would be automatic. We're on our own. It's the same guys, the same Bears, same Jason, same Ike. What could go wrong? And you realize that once you move from under those platforms, you almost become a regular person. And that struck me at the time, and say all these great relationships that we have, they didn't really amount to a lot. And you had a few guys that we have very good relationship with in the industry, and they made a concerted effort to help us along the journey and sort of allow us to propel, right? So as time progressed, and we continuously build the platform, and we're approaching 10 years now. And when we look on the platform that we have built, we have operations in 4 countries: Jamaica, St. Lucia, Puerto Rico, and mainland USA. We have invested in probably 13 or 14 different countries across the region. And we have done so on a platform, on an institutional grade platform. Because now we've launched, at the end of last year into this year, we've launched the Impact Fund.
Yes.
And the Impact Fund, in everything that I have done, or have a part in driving, the Impact Fund was the most difficult thing we have ever pulled together. Like it was so difficult, because we are trying to solve a problem that has plagued Caribbean fund managers up to this point. How do you get capital from North America into the Caribbean to deploy into these different areas? And North American investors, they're not familiar with Caribbean in financial regulations and just the laws of the land. So it's a burden for them to try to put money into a developing country. So we had to go through, and we came up with a great solution for that problem, and it enabled us to launch this fund. And on the back of that, you had all the multinationals that you can think about. You have family offices, big wealth management firms in the USA with hundreds of billions of assets under management. And they came and they all did a due diligence of Sygnus. And for those established, large, entrenched players in the global financial space and multinationals who they have seen everything, came, did a due diligence on Sygnus. We passed with flying colors. Mm-hmm. You ask what is my thought about, or my feeling about 10 years at Sygnus. It's just amazing that we could actually build such a platform within 10 years. I don't think any other company in the Caribbean has achieved this level of institutional grade platform, such that you can get due diligence. When they say, where is this policy? We just hand it to them. Explain to us how your investment process work. It's well articulated and it is very robust against, people getting rogue and giving investments or money to related parties and so forth. It's extremely robust. I don't believe they made any recommendation to our platform that I'd say, it was a gaping hole or anything like that. It's more cosmetic. So, 10 years achieving that is just amazing. And, it's built on the back of a great team and great leadership from our CEO and ensuring that, he communicates, he goes to all these conferences overseas and meet with people and, explain to them what we're doing in the Caribbean, and then they become interested, and we have a platform here that meets their expectation, and they're able to put their money in and confident that they'll get a return on their investment and a return of their investment.
Wow. All right. When people hear Sygnus in the next 10 years, what do you want them to think? Anyone can take this question.
So let me answer this question this way. 5 years ago, we designed what we call our 1B5 strategy. And that strategy required that we achieve 1 billion in asset under management in terms of alternative investment.
And just to be clear for those listening or watching, that's 1 billion USD.
Yeah, that's 1 billion. We only talk USD.
Yes.
Yeah, so the demand that we get to 1 billion in asset under management, we should make us by far the largest alternative investment manager in the Caribbean. Obviously, the reality is that at 1 billion in alternative investment, basically we are touching a lot of lives across the region, a lot of investors, and we are effectively mobilizing significant amount of capital into different asset classes. So that's really the significance of 1 billion. And it also, as I pointed out and Jason mentioned earlier, make us much more attractive to scale in our crowd in international investors. Now, a part of that strategy was also to regionalize and internationalize our firm in terms of brand presence and recognition. In fact, we wanted to ensure that if you are in Trinidad, Bahamas, Puerto Rico, all over the Caribbean, and you said the word Sygnus, everyone would think about alternative investment. All right, so we wanted to achieve that. And that's a long-term aspiration for Sygnus. So in the next 10 years, what we will be doing is to effectively propel our brand presence across different markets, including, and I can hint to the audience, the markets which are within our geography. You're talking about the US main market, Central, South America. We feel that we have built a platform that is tremendously scalable because we have set up an institutional framework that can attract capital at scale from any investor base in the world. And once you can do that, then you can talk about crowding in capital into the geography that we want to play in, and then deploy it into the right asset classes that can truly transform the society. So in 10 years, Sygnus is basically going to be hyper-scaling, so to speak, and crowding in a lot more capital that we are deploying on the different alternative investment strategy. What will be the size of AUM then? I think we will sit down together in 6 months, but I know for sure it is going to be a big number.
Wow. All right. So we're coming to the end of our podcast. And I wanted to do just a few quick rapid fire questions. They're one words for some of them is just a little sentence, but each of you to answer. Biggest risk you've ever taken, Jason?
Biggest risk I have ever taken.
It doesn't have to be, could be personally or professionally. I see the other two thinking.
That's a good question, you know. That's a tough question, actually. I'm pass.
Berries.
Biggest risk. It's hard to say. I mean, look, before Sygnus, I've tried many other businesses, right? Some went well, others go bust. But biggest risk I've ever taken. Frankly speaking, maybe the biggest risk I've ever taken, if I'm genuine, is probably to start Sygnus. I think it's to start Sygnus, But I also felt very comfortable in that risk because of the how convinced we were about the success of the business. I mean, it was at the startup, you always feel extremely convinced, and as Ike said, when reality hit, you will separate the man from the boys. But that Sygnus is the biggest risk I've ever taken. Really.
All right.
Yeah.
Ike?
I think maybe, well, my partners know this, but I had in 2013 bought this company called Apollo Taxi Service.
It was the risk.
No, man. Taking your money and investing in an industry like that. That's a huge financial risk.
We did benefit from it, though,
Yes, definitely.
Because we met at your office.
Exactly,
times,
because
right?
when we were ushered out of our former place of employment, we used to go there like some weekends and during the week and
a few times.
It was a Sunday. Sunday office.
Yeah, it was a Sunday office, right? We took a break from the courtyard lobby on a Sunday and went to the Apollo's office on Red Hills Road, So we benefited from that. But in terms of personal risk, I don't know. I don't take unnecessary risks, right? One time I had when I was attending university in the UK, I had some German friends and they took me hiking up a mountain, and a part of the trail was actually walking on guide wires on the side of a cliff, man. That like when I went there on site, I say I definitely can't do this, And just walking across, you had to hold on to the guide wires.
Did you do it?
Yes, I walked across it and when you look down, you're looking at clouds. That was the most, I think that's the greatest risk I've ever taken in my life.
All right. One thing that you are each grateful for.
Well, for me, that's just straight life.
Okay.
Because I was in an accident that I should have died, and I didn't die. In fact, nothing happened to me really. So,
Awesome.
I was in a motor vehicle accident that, crushed completely. And I walked out alive. So I came for me, actually.
Yeah,
amazing.
It was unbelievable.
I was wondering how am I actually alive? So
I looked at him and
I have a second life, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I give thanks for.
For life. Okay. Berries.
You just don't crash after. You know?
You know what I mean? Bears crash a lot.
That's nothing.
You
Man.
ever had an accident like mine, man? My accident is...
That's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, but for me, it's really life. At the end of the day, I don't take things too seriously. You know, life is just to live and enjoy and spend it with your family, friends, and everything is temporary. You know, so even at the end of the day, all of what we are doing now in our grand vision of Sygnus and trying to change, let's say, the very fabric of the Caribbean financial landscape. Hey, at the end of the day, it all boils down to, are we enjoying it?
Yeah.
You know, are we having a fulfilling life? And, the simplicity of life, it's what normally make it enjoyable. Yeah.
All right. Ike?
Yes, so, life, good health, great people to explore opportunities with, and, good friends, family. It's just things that make life worth living on a day-to-day basis and just keep you going with that great level of optimism.
Awesome. And the last question, if there's one thing you hope someone listening takes away from your journey, what would it be? I'm going to ask each of you the same question. So, Jason.
Well, I would say if you have a dream, a vision, a passion, figure out a way how to make it a reality and don't give up, right? Because if we listen to the naysayers and all the negative comments and the fact that a credit company in Caribbean that is not a bank, it must fail. And then when COVID came and it was just 2.5 years in, then we wouldn't be here today. So to all the entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs, find a way. And we're always here. You can always bounce ideas of us for free. So what I mean? Because at the end of the day, to each one help each other.
Yeah.
Lift up. Yeah.
Awesome. Beres?
Yeah, I think go for your dreams. And also, don't worry too much about failures. Failures are either, and again, you might not listen to it, but failures are either two things.
Yeah.
It's either a barrier to entry or a learning experience that will help you to be better once you continue the journey. We like challenges, really at Sygnus, we love challenges because we know that if we, as Ike said, with the CCRF and many other things, once we figure it out, it becomes a barrier to entry because generally those things takes a lot of will for other people to figure out. So that's the mindset I would encourage entrepreneurs to have. See failures as challenges or barrier to entry. Your job is to figure them out. Yeah.
Ike?
Keep your day job.
Wow.
Well, that was a joke, but it comes from a place of, if you have a goal and a dream, and you have aspirations, you should go ahead, work on it, and the greatest or the highest probability that you become successful at an undertaking is boils down to two things, right? One, your network, and two, partnerships, right? If you want to do it fast, you go it alone. But if you want to do it great, you have to get partners. You're going to find that you'll never be great at everything that it takes to become tremendously successful at what you do. So you'll have to get that partnership with key people. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a excruciating journey to start something from scratch and make it viable. There are going to be times where you say, this is it, this is failure, and you'll have to go back to doing what you're doing. But if you don't get that feeling, then something is wrong. Nothing goes as easy and as streamlined as you expect. What can go wrong will go wrong. So you have to be prepared to be resilient, and you have to be prepared to put a lot of effort into it and bet your last dollar, right? Because when we were starting Sygnus and we were ushered out of that place, we had to build the business to a certain point before we started to get income. So you had to start to run up a lot of debt and make significant cuts to your lifestyle. At that time, I remember I had a BMW, and I had to sell my Beamer. So so there are going to be sacrifices, there are going to be rough periods that you go through, but once you'll always find that you're going to overcome these things. There's always a solution to these problems, and that is why partnerships and your network is so important. You always get over this, and then you start to build on that resilience, and you'll become successful. But it just takes a lot of hard work, effort, and dedication.
Wow. Thank you, gentlemen. From a vision in 2007 to a chance meeting at Crew in 2013. And here we are, almost 10 years later, celebrating this major milestone. Congratulations. And this was our episode of the Founders Table for Sygnus Skyline. Thanks for tuning in to Sygnus Skyline. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out our YouTube channel for exclusive highlights. Until next time.